afternoon, everybody. Please have the members and distinguished members from the CHC and their guests. Okay. Thank you. All right, very good. So we have Congress members Levin, Norma Torres, Menendez, Chuy Garcia. Who else?
Luz.
And Soap, I was looking for Soap.
Oh, he's
He's on his way. Okay. And each of the members have brought to this important day today, tonight, an important American, someone that I think is emblematic of our nation and has a story to tell. So we're very proud of the work that the Congressional Hispanic Caucus has done to highlight those within our district and within the country that I think have an important story to say. So this is an opportunity tonight at the State of the Union to highlight stories that are critical to the progress of our country. And so our members have worked very hard to make sure that they brought important folks here that have something important to say. Some of us had to dig ourselves out of the snow to get here. Right, Rob? And so the person that I brought here is a young man. This is the first time I met him, and he's really impressed me. I met his family about a year ago in Monterrey, Mexico. Myself, Sylvia Garcia, and Joaquin Castro flew to Monterrey, Mexico to meet that family with 4 children, 4 U.S.-born children, including his little sister, who has a serious health issue. They're in Monterrey because they got deported. But Fernando stayed behind. He's now 18 years old. And Fernando pays all the bills in the house, of his parents' house. Right? He was just going down the list of, so he works from very early on till night. He hasn't seen his little sister, who's very sick, has a cancerous brain tumor, and is in Mexico, nor his father or mother, or his other siblings. Fernando likes to play the trombone. So we spoke about Willie Colon, who unfortunately passed away a few days ago. We even saw one of his songs as he played the trombone, and we were talking about how difficult it is to play that instrument. It requires real perfection. And he wants to go to college, but his family is not here. So they're separated. And he hasn't seen his family for over a year. And this weekend, when I saw everything that was occurring in Mexico, the violence, I thought about his family. I said, I'm glad that I invited him because I want to make sure they're okay. His father is driving a truck in Mexico, so he's also concerned for that situation. And I think that he's one of 6 children, and you know, he's now an adult. So a young adult, because he has to fence off for himself. And Sarah is his little sister who's ill. And some of you may have signed a parole letter that the attorneys filed on his behalf and on behalf of his family. And so we're praying and fighting to reunite this family so he can go to college, so he could continue to play the trombone, and he could achieve his aspirations, which I think are the aspirations of our nation as well. So I wanted to welcome Fernando. Fernando is also, Chewy, fully bilingual. You know, he spoke in English, and I didn't think he could speak Spanish until in front of Univision. He just like laid it out there. So we're very proud of him, and he has this pizzazz about him that I think is gravitating. I want to introduce you to Fernando.
Thank you, Chairman Espillat, for the honor of being your guest today. Through the nightmare my family is experiencing, it is incredible to know that there are some good folk advocating for my family now. My name is Fernando, and my family was deported about a year ago, and my life has changed a lot. I'm one of 6 children in that family. Even though 4 of them are U.S. citizens. I wasn't with my family at the time. I was working. But when I heard the news, I fell to my knees. I couldn't talk anything. Previously, my sister was going to Houston to get treatment while I was home. Then I heard the news, and I couldn't think of anything else. For the past year, I've been working nonstop just to provide for the house, myself, provide for the medicine that my siblings need, and keeping everything in check. The situation is a nightmare that I can't wake up from. Every time I go home, it feels like I'm in a coffin that I can't get out of. It feels lifeless, like I don't belong in my own home. And all I need is just my family to come back. I'm 18. I still need to go to college. I can't really get a good job without it. And today I've been asked many, many times how everybody can help me. And all I ask is, just please bring my family back. Thank you.
Come on, give it up for Fernando. We want to thank also the team that's here with Fernando, came with him. He is blessed to have a good support team. Both Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia and Joaquin Castro and I were in Mexico to visit his family. Okay, let's now hear from Congressman Levin.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, thank you very much, Chairman. It's great to be with everybody. I'm Mike Levin from Southern California. And I'm really honored that Stephanie Quintino has joined me for the State of the Union this evening. I first should say that I debated whether or not to even attend the State of the Union. I know every member made their own decision. And for me, I think the reason I'm going to attend, I'll probably be in the very back, is that I represent 750,000 people in Southern California. I'm the only federal representative for those folks. I'm the only one that has a seat in the chamber of the House of Representatives this evening. And I feel important, not only for me, but for all the constituents that I represent, to be there as their voice, to be there to share their stories. As I was thinking about who I wanted to invite, thinking about the cruel and inhumane policies that I see from this administration, particularly as it pertains to this campaign of mass detention and deportation being embarked on by Stephen Miller, being carried out by Kristi Noem. I thought back to all the scores of families that I've met along the way who have been sucked up in this awful, awful policy. And really the first family that I really got to know was back in February of last year when my constituents, Gladys and Nelson Gonzalez, who had lived in our community for 35 years after having come from Colombia, after having come to seek asylum for political violence in the United States, they were wrapped up in all of this. And what you should know about the Gonzalez family, they never were involved in any way with the civil our criminal justice system only to show up voluntarily once a year to go to ICE to get that check-in because they had ineffective counsel. They actually, their lawyers actually got disbarred. Turns out they weren't even lawyers in some cases. And so they went every year to do things the right way for 35 years until February of last year when they were detained and they were eventually sent to multiple facilities. Stephanie can explain. And eventually they were reunited finally in Colombia, where they are today. So I'm going to do everything I can to work with all my colleagues in the CHC and anybody in this country who has just an open heart and an open mind who realizes that so many good people, we hear the statistics, we hear 86% of the people that were detained by ICE in 2025 were nonviolent. We hear all of those statistics, but the human stories are so much more important than those statistics. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my guest for this evening, Stephanie Quintino, who can tell you her story.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be here and be Congressman Levin's guest for today. It's an honor to be able to represent my parents to people who I love and respect more than anybody in this world. And also an honor to represent so many immigrant families who are going through so much tragedy and heartbreak and having to suffer their family just being torn apart. So as Congressman Levin said, my parents are from Bogota, Colombia. They came here in 1989. They lived in the United States for over 35 years. Never were in trouble with the law, great citizens, always following the rules, working hard to give me and my two sisters everything that we needed and so much more. They came here seeking asylum, and like Congressman said, unfortunately they got caught up in a lot of really bad lawyers that took advantage of them, and they finally found a good lawyer that unfortunately kind of gave them some bad news that it just seemed like it was a little bit too late. However, they kept fighting, our family kept fighting, and we submitted a petition all the way up to the 9th Circuit, and sadly that got denied, I believe, in 2021. And so we just kept being hopeful that something would change, that there would be some type of immigration reform. And they kept going to their check-ins year after year, never hiding, always showing that they were doing the right thing and following the law. And it wasn't until last year, in February 16th of last year, that they went to their annual check-in as they always do. And I was at work, and I'll never forget the call that I got while I was at work, that they weren't going to come back. My mom actually called me first and told me that they actually gave her another year. They said, come back in a year. And then when my dad went in, because they went in separately, they told him that they made a mistake and that his wife had to come back in, my mom, and that they made a mistake giving her the extra year, that they both were not going to leave. And so I was very confused. I frantically left work. And I had one conversation with my dad where he just told me that they weren't going to let them go and they weren't going to come home. And so after that, they got separated. They were put in handcuffs and shackles and taken to 3 different detention centers over the span of 3 weeks in Arizona, 2 locations in California, and also Louisiana, before they were then deported to Colombia. And so it would have been easier if they could just self-deport. I mean, they told them, can we just leave on, with our own respect and dignity, and they said no and kept transporting them to different detention centers. And so here I am a year later, thankful that my parents are safe in Colombia, but continuing to use my voice to share our story, because it's important that it's heard, and it's important for people to know that so many families are going through something similar and it's not okay. I want to use my voice to share about this because it's happening and it's real and it's affecting families and it's tearing families apart, and it's unfair. It's unfair that great, hardworking people are being caught up in this and are being portrayed as a violent criminal when they are not. They're hardworking people who make this country better. And so I'm honored to be here. I'm so thankful for the Congressman's support of my family and sharing their story. And I just hope that I can continue to use my voice to not only represent my parents, but also so many other families that are going through something similar. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you both. And now, let's listen for somebody that I think she's the new luchadora. Now that maybe just we're gonna name her la nueva luchadora, Congresswoman Norma Torres.
Luchadora sí, nueva no. So tonight, there will be a speech. It will be orchestrated speech with applause, with self-congratulations, propaganda. But we aren't here for the theater, right? We're not here for the theater. The real state of the union is nothing but a crime scene. Masked, heavily armed agents are snatching people off of our streets. Workers, mothers, fathers, our neighbors. Our communities are being flooded with tactical gear and pepper spray. Meanwhile, billions of your taxpayers' dollars are being looted from schools, from hospitals, to fund, hear me, cages. They are funding cages and private contracts. This is not public safety. This is a domestic occupation designed to make our families fear them. We must be blunt about what is happening. We are being terrorized because a narcissist president cannot accept the results of the 2020 election. This isn't just policy. It is a personal vendetta. The same man we see, whose name is littered throughout the Epstein files, is now using the federal government, DOJ, ICE, to punish the country for his own humiliation, his own shame. He is using our neighborhoods as hunting grounds for his personal amusement. And he isn't stopping there. He has announced a plan to nationalize our elections and replace local boards with federal election police. The same masked men snatching your neighbors are the same forces he wants standing over our ballot box, all to ensure that he never faces another loss. While he funds with our taxpayers' dollars his elite corporate friends, your family is being crushed. It is costing hardworking Americans $1,600 more a year just to survive. The American dream is a surcharge. This is the trade-off. He is asking you to pay more for your eggs and bacon so he can spend more on forces that stalk our streets. He prioritizes imprisonment over education, and he prioritizes intimidation over health care. This is a Trump-sanctioned fear. Do not let a televised speech distract you. The real state of the nation is visible in all of us. Maybe we won't have empty chairs because they will be filled with interns. But the threat of a federal boot on the neck of our local economy exists. We will not clap for a narcissist revenge. We are here to strip the gears of this illegal operation and restore the rule of law. And as Americans, we must stand together and demand better. We will hold the guilty accountable We will ensure those who violated their oaths are prosecuted. The law will be the wall that stands between our families and their overreach. Doesn't matter how many White House guppies are present in this room. Your face means nothing to me. What means everything to me is the fact that I have to visit my law-abiding constituents every single week while they are being imprisoned by your boss. With me today is a nurse, a leader in our community. She's not just a nurse, she's an organizer, a union member, who is fighting for the rights of her sick patients. She's a Kaiser nurse. I want to introduce all of you to my guests tonight. Linda, where are you? Thank you, Linda, for being here and for all that you do. You make me proud to be an American.
Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Hippolyte, and I am proudly representing 40,000 healthcare professionals through United UHCP. Before this role, I spent over a decade as a bedside nurse, caring for patients in critical moments, supporting recovery, treating serious illnesses, and comforting families during their hardest moments of their lives. I know what it feels like to continuously work short-staffed, having a full load of patients while trying your hardest to deliver the best care you can and keeping your patients safe. And I know when hospitals cut corners, patients and communities are the first to feel the consequences, especially underrepresented communities that often face the greatest barriers to care. Our nurses were on strike for 26 days because patient care is very important to them. We are fighting for safe staffing, adequate healthcare resources, and the ability to provide timely, dignified treatment for every patient who walks through our doors. When there are cuts, units get understaffed and nurses are stretched too thin. Patients wait longer for care, treatments are delayed, and necessary medications aren't prescribed. This leads to increased hospitalizations, people get sicker. These are not abstract debates, these are real lives. These nurses went weeks without a paycheck. They sacrificed with their families, and they really care about what healthcare means to them because they feel that it is a human right. They believe that every patient should have access to quality healthcare, and no patient should have to wait for necessary care. Healthcare workers should have a voice when it comes to decisions that impact the bedside. They should not be ignored, since they are the ones that are actually providing the care. Congressional leadership matters. Lawmakers who listen to frontline workers and prioritize safe and equitable health care, especially for communities that have been historically underrepresented, can make real change. When nurses are heard, patients receive better care. And when Congress acts with courage and vision, we can build a health care system that can truly care for everyone now and in the future.
Nurses. Thank you, Norma. And now we're going to hear from Representative Rob Menendez from New Jersey.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here. I represent New Jersey's 8th Congressional District. It's a Hispanic majority district, and over 40% of the people that live there were born outside the country. So the last 13 plus months have been extremely difficult for our community. We've seen this every day with our district team, who regularly handles a variety of complex immigration cases for those who call the district home. But last year, there was one case that caught all of our attention, just given the gravity of it and the nature of it. It was for a constituent named Adriana. And Adriana come here from Colombia after experiencing horrific things in her country of origin in Colombia, things that no individual should ever have to experience. And she came here because of the promise of America. The Convention Against Torture gave her protected status here. And she started life here. And that life was interrupted when she was removed from her home, taken to Texas, and repeatedly attempted to be removed to a country she had no ties to. Thankfully for Adriana, She has an incredible family, incredible advocate, and that's who my guest tonight at the State of the Union will be. Monica Isabel Van Housen is Adriana's niece. She's been her advocate every step of the way, working with Adriana's counsel, who's here as well, to try to bring her in home and to try to really fulfill the promise that this country has always been to so many Americans. And so it's an honor and a privilege to introduce Monica so she can speak more about what her family, and her aunt have had to experience under this administration.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Van Housen, and I'm speaking about my aunt Adriana. She is a CAT grantee who remains detained by ICE in El Paso, Texas. Despite ICE confirming 3 times that they could not deport her to any other country, they've tried 8 countries, 8+ countries, and they've all denied her. While detained, my aunt's health has severely declined. She has a broken arm, developed full diabetes, and now has an unexplained black spots on her body. We are awaiting a federal judge's decision on her habeas case, but regardless of the outcome, there is no justification for continued inhumane treatment. People who have already won protection should not be subjected to prolonged imprisonment, and especially in the conditions that my aunt is in. This is not justice, and it's not necessary. This is inhumane. And in times like these, I want to thank Lauren O'Neill, my aunt's attorney, and Congressman Menendez, because we feel like nobodies, but because of them, they give us a voice, and they advocate for us, and they make us feel safe in times where, right now, it's not. Thank you.
Thank you for those words. And now let's hear from Congressman Chuy Garcia.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Chairman, and to all my colleagues and your special guests. Glad to join you to lift up the cases of constituents across the country. It's been 1 year, and of course, Donald Trump's presidency has failed the American people. Instead of lowering costs and making life better for working families, House Republicans have chosen to protect billionaires and to fund violence against our communities. The real State of the Union, from the economy to healthcare to immigration enforcement, is a disaster. Families everywhere are struggling. In Chicago, grocery prices have risen by double digits. This past year, families in my district paid over $1,700 more for everyday needs because of the Trump policies, including tariffs. Meanwhile, Republicans handed ICE last year $75 billion in a slush fund, nearly tripling its detention budget, while stripping millions the access to health care and food benefits. Taxpayer dollars should improve lives, not fund violence and terror. And that's why I invited Marimar Martinez, a constituent of mine, as my special guest at this State of the Union. After Border Patrol agent Charles Exum shot Marimar 5 times and bragged about it to other agents, Greg Bovino even congratulated him. Then the Trump administration lied. They called her a domestic terrorist and brought charges against her, serious charges that would have incarcerated her if she had been convicted. Even these charges were dropped. Marimar's own government continues to smear her name. Marimar is a U.S. citizen, a beloved teacher, a young woman whose life has forever changed because of this savage attack. I stand with her and support her to release all the evidence in her case that she has called for. As one of the many who have been framed and harmed by this administration's violent immigration enforcement, the story should be widely shared with the public, with the media, and with members of Congress as we are today. The American people want immigration enforcement that is fair, just, and humane. Instead, our communities are being terrorized by a rogue, lawless agency, and if we don't rein in DHS now, we will continue to see more stories like Marimara's. Marimar, thank you for your courage and being here today. Nobody should have to go through what you are experiencing and went through. So we are with you, and we will continue fighting to stop the abuses that this administration is committing. Marimar will not make a statement on the advice of her attorney as the case continues to play out as she seeks justice, and her community stands with her 100% throughout the 4th District, and I know in many of your hearts because you shared it with me across the land as well. She represents that quest for justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Marimar, for your courage, for being here. Thank you, Chewy, for inviting her tonight. Now we're going to hear from the great state of Florida, Congressman Soto.
Tonight we're going to see distractions, division, and the doubling down of the terrible policies of the Trump administration, which is why he is one of the most deeply unpopular presidents in history. Tariffs that are raising our prices, corruption where his cronies get rich while American working families get poor, and mass deportation that's splitting families apart in Central Florida. You know, many Hispanics believed Trump was going to lower prices and deport only criminals. He lied. That's probably why his approval rating with Hispanics is at 22%. Burnt rice and beans is more popular with the Hispanic community than Donald Trump right now. In Florida, we had 1 million immigrants who lost their legal status last year. We had Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans who were on the parole program. That went away. We had Venezuelan TPS go away, Haitian TPS on the brink, Nicaraguan TPS. So 1 million immigrants in Florida, mostly Hispanics, who had legal status as recently as the end of 2024. Jobs, driver's license, social security numbers, asylum cases pending, working to help make our economy go forward, now see their legal status revoked. And so we see American citizens in my district and in our community have their families torn apart. It's destroying our Central Florida economy, which we have a lot of tourism, a lot of agriculture, healthcare, and a lot of other areas where Hispanics and immigrants generally are helping out, especially with our small businesses. Of course, we've also seen the awful alligator Alcatraz, where we know immigrants have literally disappeared, and that place needs to be shut down. We have also seen a terrible trend of unlawful incarceration, where immigrants are brought into the local jails, which they can only be there for 48 hours under the 287G authority, and then rotated back to ICE, then rotated to another jail, then whisked to other areas of the state. What do you do when you can't find your family member? What do you do when they face an injustice and have disappeared? You hire some good damn attorneys, and you file the extraordinary writ known as habeas corpus. We're joined by Philip and Josephine Arroyo from the Arroyo Law Firm, who have been garnering some major wins in federal court in the Middle District in Central Florida for our local families as they face these rotating trends and this unlawful incarceration. So thank you, Philip. Thank you, Josephine, for being here. And Philip, if you wouldn't mind joining us for a few words. Thank you for what you do for Central Florida.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for having us. It's an honor for my wife and I. She's my partner at the firm, but also my partner in life as my wife. So, as Congressman Darren Soto mentioned, and thank you for having us. As attorneys, we went to law school to fight injustice. And never in our lives did we expect our beloved Constitution to be violated over and over and over again. We're at a point where we've been able to be successful in winning 18 habeas corpuses. And I want to give credit to the federal judges who ruled the right way in defense of our Constitution, because as we know, judges can't be out in the public making comments, but I want to give them due credit. Judge Antoon, Judge Dalton, Judge Mendoza, and if I left anybody out, but there's so many who have ruled in our favor. Thank you for your service. We have had the difficult task to represent hardworking, decent people who come to this country to contribute positively. And a young lady just mentioned something that's so true. They want to paint us all as criminals, but what we see in the courtroom and at the jails is over 90-95% are hardworking, decent people who have an asylum process here, are here lawfully, and they want to incriminate them and imprison them. But thankfully, as Darren Soto said, as Congressman said, we have that writ of habeas corpus. And I don't want to bore you guys with legalese, but this is a writ that's been in existence for over 800 years. It's kept kings in check. And thankfully, federal judges are that last frontier to keep this administration in check, which in my opinion is one of the most unethical Department of Justices I have seen in my entire life. And I started here as an intern, and I have never seen a Department of Justice like the one we're seeing here today. And I'm going to leave it to my wife, but the last thing I want to say is we see the opposite side, U.S. attorneys, trying to make the best argument possible, but knowing very well deep down inside that it just can't be defended in court, the arguments they're making. But thankfully, the courts are doing the right thing. Members of Congress like Congressman Soto, Mr. Chairman, it's very important for all the work that you guys do, and thank you very much.
And I'll keep it brief because I know we're running out of time, and I just want to echo what he said. We took oaths as attorney to defend our Constitution, and we will continue to fight for our Constitution and protect the rights of all people, not just U.S. citizens, and continue to be the voice of the voiceless. As a Latina, I have never had a prouder moment in my life. It has been the most difficult 2 months of our entire career. We are extremely overwhelmed. We cannot believe what is happening in this country at this moment. But no matter how hard, how many obstacles they place in our way, we will continue to fight. And I ask everyone to do the same, because it's going to take a village for us to continue to defend this country and our Constitution. And I thank you all so much. And thank you, Congressman Soto.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. And now, unfortunately, Representative Teresa Ledger Fernandez could not be with us today. So I would introduce her guest. I have the privilege of introducing her guest. Her name is Carmen Pacheco Munoz. She's the interim CEO of La Casa Family Health Center in rural eastern New Mexico, where she has spent 36 years expanding access to quality health care for families. She sees families struggling on a daily basis. She sees how bad it has gotten. She's never heard anyone say the affordability crisis is a hoax. And she knows that President Trump's more than $1 trillion health care cut to pay for giveaways to the richest Americans and to the wealthiest corporations would only make things worse. So we want to welcome Carmen Pacheco Munoz.
First, I'd like to thank Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez for her leadership and for lifting up the voices of rural New Mexico. My name is Carmen Pacheco Munoz, and I have the honor of serving as CEO of La Casa Family Health Center, where our mission is simple: to make sure every person, no matter their income, zip code, or background, can get the care they need with care and dignity. I see families who are working hard, doing everything right, and still struggling to afford the basics. I see patients choosing between medication and groceries. I see seniors delaying care because they're afraid of the bill. And I see how deeply these challenges affect the health of our communities. Medicaid cuts for rural clinics like ours, stability in healthcare funding isn't an abstract policy debate. It determines whether we can keep our doors open, keep providers in our communities, and keep families healthy when resources are cut. Rural communities feel it first and feel it the hardest. But I also see resilience. I see families who show up for one another. I see staff who go above and beyond because they believe in the dignity every patient who walks through our doors deserve. And I see what is possible when leaders fight to protect access to care for the people who need it the most. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share our story and to speak on behalf of the communities we proudly serve.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming before us. You see that immigration and healthcare are two of the important issues that we are facing in our respective districts. And we're highlighting folks within our districts that are in the middle of crisis. And so thank you all for being here today. Gracias por estar con nosotros.
Thank you.